right, I'd like to call the government ops meeting to order, please. First item of business is I need a motion to accept the minutes from November 23rd, 2021. I have a motion, please. Motion by Paul. Do I have a second? Kathy? Any omissions, corrections? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. First item of business is Matt Jones, DPW barn update.
All right. This is just a short update. We're making progress with both of them, with the engineers and architects and stuff. We have site plans. Unfortunately, I probably got them to Deb too late for today to get into the thing, but I can send them out to anybody. They're just preliminary site plans. One update that I wanted to really talk about was the Middle Falls location. We had talked about Easton down by the dump property we own. We had talked about Greenwich by that dump. We've also talked about the current location where the barn is and purchasing maybe a small parcel of land next to it to complete this. Myself and Deb and everybody involved, we've circled back around to the original location where the barn is now as the best feasible location. So what I did was I had the engineers and architects start giving us a preliminary site plan to make sure that the size of the building that we are looking at would work with the traffic flow of the trucks in and out safely, with the turning radiuses, salt shed, fuel storage, to make sure everything would fit, on that piece of property. That was our question before. With the current, size of our property, it's not the greatest, but that half acre of the neighbors that, we've looked at, it'll work and it'll work good. So I'd like really to keep moving down that path. I think I have, I know I have Deb's blessing with that and everybody else involved. So I just want to make sure that the committee's informed that that's the direction we're going. And I guess now's the time to shoot questions at me if you have any questions about us going forward with the study on that particular parcel.
Any questions for Matt? So based on his recommendation, you concur with him moving forward on that piece of property?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. No objections.
Our next step on that is a small working group to answer questions for the engineers, which would include Deb and maybe her foreman and Mr. Hogan to just get out what we're going to need and what we want there so we can start getting that on paper. That's a step we did with Fort Ann, with the town of Fort Ann already. So now Middle Falls, we'll enter into that step. I think Bob's.
Becky?
Matt, is this plan contingent upon buying more property?
Yes, it is. We reached out to that landowner and she made us she shot us a number for us to look at. And I think I talked about that in executive session one day, what the asking
right. But at that time, I didn't think it was completely sure she was actually going to do it. So if it's, as long as the two pieces of the plan fall together, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, Bob, I think that would be
get on the road too far and not be able to get the property.
That's right. I think for this step, though, I think we're the next step of getting the ask, and then we would have like a better site plan and a study. And I think then, obviously, right at that point, we would need to decide whether, what. You're right. It's contingent. She could say no anytime. She did throw it out there, and I've been in touch with her, and nothing's changed at this point. And she knows that it's going to be a little while before we're at the point where we would pull the trigger to purchase property or negotiate with her at that.
Okay.
Any questions? Shaw?
Yeah, Matt, I agree with everything you're saying and doing. My concern is that there's no more negotiations with the property owner. If we move ahead with this, we're committed to buying that. And with that point, we're actually at the mercy of the landowner on negotiation. So I just question with everybody, are we willing to pay the asking price? Because I think that's what you'd have to do if we moved ahead.
Any
And I think
recommendations?
I think everybody's got to decide that now.
I think you guys decide.
That's fair.
Matt Hicks?
Gee, Matt, it was my impression that she gave you a number and it was sort of a take it or leave it. And if we didn't need it, she was okay, and there wasn't a whole lot of negotiation going on. But I can't recall exactly what transpired.
That was the general feeling. It's not a written, at that point in time, we were still just investigating, so it was a verbal, you know, if you want me to have her draw up a formal proposal, you know, we can do that, so we can discuss it next month, you know.
I would think at least getting some numbers down in writing in some form, whether it be an option agreement or something, would be a good thing to do.
I would take that direction from you guys. If you want, I can reach out to her in this next month and say, hey, we're you know, one step farther. Nothing's definite, but we'd like to have it in writing now, you know, so we could move forward with plans. And I'm comfortable asking her that.
Paul?
Dave, are you looking for a motion to move forward with this? Do we need a motion to move forward with this, or do we need to send it to finance committee?
Just need instructions.
Okay, just need instructions.
Instructions to Matt Jones.
Do you want
Decide what you want to do.
Do you want to have Matt work with Roger to get some sort of option agreement together or something? How's that?
Yeah.
I think you want to nail down that purchase price and the ability to control that property,
Correct.
at least before you start planning.
Yeah. So, Matt, you got marching orders. Work with Roger to get something in writing to acceptable to the county and to her.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Oh, I guess anybody else got questions before I move on?
Any other questions? Anything else, Matt?
The Fort Ann building update is we are much farther along with architects and engineers with our feasibility study. Everything's going good. We got a draft report that we're going to get together this month. We're going to try to get the working group that was together for the original thing back together again to take a look at this draft report and numbers. And if there's any changes or additions or subtractions, we'll do it then. And I'm hoping by January we'll have a, you know, some sort of report for you. I did have her put, this is a site plan. Anybody can look at it anytime. This is a site plan we've been working on for Fort Ann. It's basically what's come out of the working group. And like I said, the report is a draft and we're going to go over it. And hopefully by next month, we'll have a presentation for everybody.
Any questions for Matt on Fort Ann? All right, Matt, guess they liked your picture.
And that's all I have for buildings and grounds this month.
Hey, that's sweet. All right, anyone else got any questions for Matt on any other topic? Okay, thank you. Next, the weighted vote discussion. So, Roger, would you lead us through this, please? I want to see the entire complex calculations on the
Complex
board.
math, my understanding when I went to law school was there'd be no math. So, and how wrong once I was. All right, so, as you know, every 10 years we have a census. Every 10 years,
We do our version of reapportionment since we are not a Lake County legislature where the population is represented in equal districts. We use a weighted voting system that was developed by a professor, I believe, at the University of North Carolina, whose last name is Bonzoff. It's called the Bonzoff Power Index. We've been using this since the court case that abolished the one supervisor, one vote system that we had. I believe it was in the late 60s. So the idea behind it in general is that each supervisor, no matter the size of the community, has an equal statistical opportunity to influence the outcome of any given vote. That's the easy way of doing it. So Putnam or Dresden should have just as much of a chance at influencing the outcome of a vote as Kingsbury. And I can tell you I've actually seen that happen once or twice since I've been here because of the weighted votes. It is not strictly a percentage of the population, because that wouldn't then give you that opportunity to influence the number of votes. This is the system we have. There are other systems to represent constituents, from county legislatures to county executives. Those would require charters, but the system we have requires a statistical way to ensure that each person has each person in the county has the equal amount of voting power, irregardless of the population or irrespective of the population. So we have a computer program that we use to do that. The idea is to take the discrepancies as close to zero as you can get. You're never going to get to zero statistically, but they've run new numbers. The total number of weighted votes has not really gone up that much. You'll see some people have gone up. Some people have gone down. It has nothing really to do with directly related to your population. For example, Mr. O'Brien's population in the census went down. His number of weighted votes in relationship to everybody else went up. Kingsbury went up in the census. Kingsbury went up in the weighted votes. So it is your choice to adopt these new voting requirements that will satisfy the one man, one vote requirements of the Constitution, as well as New York State and the courts. And if you have deep, dark questions about how the numbers are arrived at, we can show you that. But we've been doing this computation since probably 1970. We used to hire a mathematician to do it for us out of one of the local colleges. It cost us about $10,000 a year. This cost us nothing except staff time to run the numbers.
So this is one of the approved methods by the court decision.
Yes.
Any questions on the weighted system or? Okay, then I entertain a motion to pass these to the full board.
I'll make that motion.
Who's that, Paul?
Yes.
And Cassie was the second. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The rules of the board. There was moved to this committee the discussion of moving IT under government operations. We did send out to you information review on the IT committee, why it was created, and what its responsibilities are. So, hold mine out here. So, I just want to make sure people understood why it was created and what the responsibilities were to have this discussion. So I'll open the discussion up. Cassie?
So I don't want anybody to have taken offense to what I said. All I did was I thought it was time, somebody has to bring it forward. There's been a lot of conversation about it outside of the meeting, so I just brought it forward. I didn't mean to irritate anybody or make it seem like somebody wasn't doing a good job. We had, one of the reasons we created this was there were some challenges. Now we have two phenomenal people doing phenomenal jobs, and the crisis seemed, or the challenges seemed to have been averted, and the meetings are very efficient. The departments are running very efficient. it was just an idea, she said it was time to relook at it. I wasn't, finding fault with anybody, and exactly the opposite. I thought people were doing such an exceptional job that maybe we should look at it. But if nobody has a flavor to do it, and maybe we just change the time frame right before government ops or something like that. I was just trying to, they're doing a great job. Maybe they didn't need to have their own committee. It was only to open the conversation, not to create a war. So if nobody wants to move it, that's fine.
So, do we have any discussion?
I like my 2 cents, Dave. I think we still have a lot to do in regards to the scope of work that needs to be outlined on a long-term or long-term project or long-term plans for IT. I don't think that's something that we've included. Thanks for giving me the updated information in regards to what the outline of IT committee, is to take up. Long-term planning is something I think we've been lacking, and additionally adding to that could add some more dialogue that would help. The other piece is too, I appreciate that, Cassie. I think IT has a home in front of government ops. I think those two work well together, and the individuals, I believe, that are part of both those committees, they overlap. So would appreciate if IT was kept, that it was moved to before government ops.
Any further discussion? Okay, so lacking any motion, someone wants to make a motion or just stay the way it is?
It can stay the way it is. I just thought maybe we can do a scheduling change. Like Jim says, right at the beginning, right before government ops.
That's the chairman of, whoever the committee chairman is next month, that's his fault.
Yeah. We'll just,
Schedule a meeting.
Because we really had moved to 3 meetings in a row, to 3 meetings in one day, personnel, human services, and personnel, didn't we? IT. So, it's up to the chairman.
Okay.
Having heard none, didn't. There's also a little bit of discussion about personnel. I just had them send out why the personnel committee was created and what its full responsibilities are. I think a refresher course on it would be good for everyone, because I think we've sort of forgotten some of the things. And but is there any discussion about that, or?
well, personnel, I think part of the problem, why it seems like we're doing stuff over and over again, is partly because of the COVID. Because now everything comes back through the main committee and then is going back to personnel again. That's why it feels redundant. I don't know if we're going to keep it in the oversight committees or just keep it in personnel. But there was another thing. I was just looking for time and efficiencies. I mean, we asked for efficiencies from our department heads, so I just took the thing and was looking for efficiencies among ourselves and our committees. That was why I brought forward IT and personnel. I just thought it would maybe make us more efficient. Nobody had to agree to it, just the conversation had started.
No, it's always good to have a conversation. I admit that when we first started the IT committee, I was sort of considering whether after it was operating better that to go back under, but I think that it's doing a fine job, and I just think that that we need to pay attention more to IT, since so much of our expenditures are there. But that's personnel. But personnel was another one that we were trying to streamline it, and I think it should be up to the personnel committee to make a decision whether they want to keep it going through the oversight committee, or now that COVID is back into meeting, is that maybe we go back to the original purpose, is have everything go to the personnel committee instead of the oversight committee first. So that's a discussion that they can have. Melissa.
So if I'm trying to recollect, originally, I believe when the personnel committee was formed, the department heads would bring new positions to their oversight committee to ask for that permission for the new positions to be formed before going to personnel for approval. I believe the backfills are what we had changed during COVID, where we had department heads request to backfill positions, go to their oversight committee and then to personnel. just because of COVID, not knowing where we were going, whether or not the board chose to, you know, eliminate some of the backfills or stall them a little bit. That really hasn't happened. So maybe that part of it, I think, is what you're talking about, not going to the oversight committee anymore. Is that correct? The department heads would bring new positions to their committees, but the backfills would just go directly to personnel?
And the reason we set it up that way originally is because some of the backfills are coming so late in the cycle that they had to wait till the next cycle to get in front of the oversight committee or special meeting. So we tried to make the personnel committee responsible so we could streamline the process, get backfills in there faster. Matt, what do you think?
However it wants to be set up, I mean, whatever is going to be the easiest to move forward with, but I certainly think new positions should come through the oversight committee to get approval from them and their blessing first.
Yes. So the question then is, do we want to revert back together just having backfills come straight to the personnel committee?
Whatever the administrator and personnel director would like to do, whatever they want to do is fine with me.
I think that's sufficient. I think it is a little redundant now, hearing about them in both places.
Okay.
To me, it had a purpose, you know, so I was looking for things that had a purpose and were changed and then could be effective. Because when there was just personnel before and backfills came through, they always came through well informed with a lot of information and the reasons why and the changes. So it makes sense to just send the backfill straight to personnel.
Good.
Dave,
So,
I think it became more apparent with the human services and then going right into personnel with the backfills, because you're repeating yourself within the first hour and a half and having the same discussion. So it makes sense to not do that, because people lose interest and they forget to pay attention, I think. So I think the personnel for backfills makes a whole lot more sense for you know, actually listening and that, coordinating that. Takes up a lot of time in the human services part. So.
good. All right. Any other comments on that? Okay, next item is adopt rules of the board. Does anyone have any recommended changes to the rules of the board? All right, since there's no suggestion on changes, I would like a motion to move this to the full board to adopt the rules of the board for 2022.
Move it.
Moved by Cassie, or a second? Who you can't.
I can't, sorry.
I'll second it, sorry.
Paul seconded it. Cassie and Paul are busy today. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried?
Dan has his hand up.
Dan, oh, Dan? Where are you, Dan? There you are. Dan?
I was home, Dave. That's where I was. My question, and it's more for Roger. Even though I have no problem with the rules of the board, but can they be changed at any board meeting? Can they not? So if we did run into a problem, that could be corrected at a different time?
2/3, they can always be amended by a 2/3 vote.
There we go. Okay, that was it. Thanks.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Any other business come before the committee?
Dave?
Yes?
Hi.
Yes, Laura.
We're about halfway through printing the tax bills. Some of the collectors have picked them up. The rest of them will be getting a hold of. Sue Clary, if you could stop by our office after your meetings today, yours are ready to go. Thank you very much. And Dave, we should have your stuff you were looking for earlier. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yep.
Sam Hall?
Yes, I was just going to ask Roger if he could discuss with the committee real quick the request we had to see if we wanted to retain 90 boxes of records.
So, we got a notice from one of our outside law firms, Boyce, Schiller and Flexner. They represented us in a federal court lawsuit against, the IDA, us and everybody over the infamous burn plant, 20 some odd years ago, I think it was now. And, they are going through their records retention process and have all the files related to that action, 90 some odd bankers boxes full of them, which will cost, and they asked us if we wanted them, and the answer is if you do, it'll cost you about $2,300 to ship them up here. I don't see much sense in keeping that stuff. All the pleadings are public record. We can retrieve those at any time. A lot of it's, just notes and research and people talking to people and email talking to, amongst themselves. So our other option is to have them simply destroy it and not retain it. The lawsuit's well over. The time for appeal is well over. The burn plant is long gone as far as our legal relationship with it, thank goodness. So I don't see much sense in retaining it, and I've so advised, the letter went to the clerk and to the chairman, I've so advised them that I don't believe we need to keep it.
So they have an Albany office, a New York office, and a Washington office. Do you know what office they're in?
I believe they're in Albany because that's where the suit was.
We can't send a pickup truck down and pick them up for less than $2,300?
I gotta tell you, 96 boxes of stuff will probably fill our archives, to be honest with you. There's just not a lot of stuff. It doesn't make a lot of sense to keep.
Okay.
I'd rather not read it ever again.
Any more discussion on the materials?
Are they gonna send them to the burn plant? To be
Kathy,
Anyway.
Kathy, you had your hand up for something?
Yeah.
Some support staffer is going to make some shredder very happy.
Okay, any other business come before the committee? Then we're adjourned. Well, you still got a job.
Get right into this. I'd like to call the December 21st IT committee meeting to order. First motion is piece of business to accept the minutes from the December 1st, 2021 meeting. Motion to accept the minutes. Motion by Dan Shaw, second by Paul Ferguson, Dana Hogan. All any conversation? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That carries. We'll go to cybersecurity report, Roger.
You should have been provided with the cybersecurity report for this month.
Came yesterday.
Yep, it's a little short. Hopefully Debbie's got it for the screen there. Really, our traffic continues to be the same. It'll be interesting to see whether the end of the year brings more traffic because everybody's cleaning up end of the year stuff, or less traffic because everybody's taking a vacation. So I guess we'll see about that next month. Heard a lot about cybersecurity in the news. Fortunately, we aren't part of it, but you probably heard that Kronos got hacked. Without getting into gory details, that didn't affect us because of the way we interact with that program is different than the way a lot of commercial users do, so that wasn't a problem for us. Aaron has been also participating in a lot of exercises and simulations. You can see the one listed there on the bottom of the report with the National Association of Counties. Insider attack, we don't talk about that a lot, but in addition to the outside threats that you often have with cybersecurity, there are also insider issues that can affect your computers as well. Karen's making a lot of contacts and getting herself involved. You probably saw, if you get the NISAC letter, her article was published, or NISAC magazine, her article was published there as well. So we're becoming pretty well known in the area of cybersecurity. I guess that's good for us. I don't really hate to stick my head up too far above the hole.
Don't make the target too big.
Right. But I think we're probably leading the pack in terms of the county is definitely of our size in terms of the amount of effort we're devoting to cybersecurity. And going back to the organization of the IT committee, the Gray Castle report was one of the things that led us down that path, and I think it's something we've really successfully implemented. So that's really all we have for this month.
All right. Thanks, Roger. Any questions for Roger? All right. Terry, looking very festive with the background. Thank you very much. You want to give us an update on the projects and the ticketing report?
Sure. So the project report has not changed a lot since our last meeting was only 2.5 weeks ago. So through the holiday season, there really isn't any changes on that, a few more progressions, but does anybody have any questions on the project report?
Any questions for Terry? Okay. And then any tickets, open tickets, or ticket report?
So the completed ticket report is updated for the month of November. So these are all the tickets that were completed during the month of November.
That's great.
Broken out by department, so.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Terry, the going to Windows 10, is there some reason that's held up? Seems like that's been long.
Yeah, we have.
The process than we thought.
Going back to the project.
Yeah, jumping back to the projects. It definitely has been held up for some time. It's pretty much done. We have 2 computers that are outstanding. And I just haven't pulled it off because those computers still exist because they have super old software we're trying to find a workaround for. So.
Okay, that's good explanation.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I just don't pull it off till it's 100%. And even though it's 99.9, it's not 100 yet.
2 computers is no big deal.
Yeah.
Any questions from anybody on the tickets? Terry, do you get any details on these tickets on what are some of the issues? Are there any repetitive issues that seem to be coming up more than others?
Not really, they're really just standard tickets. We do try to watch, and we have monthly service desk meetings to go through, and we can discuss, anything that we see being repetitive.
Okay.
These are just pretty standard, setting up new computers or setting up loaners or user accounts get locked out. That's probably one of our biggest recurring issue, our accounts getting locked out, which is good because that's why we have the password policies in place. They're doing what they're supposed to. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty standard. I've been struggling to find the best way to do the ticketing reports. These are only completed tickets. So they're not really 100% reflective of everything that's happened during the month, because we may have tickets that sometimes will stay open for a month or 2 if they're part of a bigger project, and they won't get entries put on them, and you won't see them until they're completed. So then once they're completed, these could be tickets that were 15-minute, helps for user password lockouts, or they could be, tickets that have taken over a couple of months and have multiple time entries on them. So it's just the completed tickets that we'll see reflected here. So it's only the 3rd month we're doing it. So I will be interested to see how those numbers fluctuate, as we move.
Awesome. Go ahead, Bob.
One thing that has always perplexed me, and I guess I haven't asked the question before, when we look at the tickets, the largest number of tickets is always in IT itself. Does that mean you guys, continue to break your own stuff, or what? How does that affect?
Well, that's exactly it. Through, IT tickets are going to be a lot of the project tickets we work that tend to be larger tickets. So, servers and patching and, all of the things that relate to IT in general and not a specific user in a specific department. When somebody calls in for a help desk ticket, that's where you'll see reflected the different departments that are breaking out, that we break out into how many hours and how many tickets.
Those apples and oranges, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just different things. For IT, for example, we're probably not going to put a ticket in because an account got locked out for us. You know, so our tickets won't be your traditional, you know, they'll be, we received a shipment, we've got to check in, 20 computers, or we've got new camera project that we're spinning up, which is countywide. So something like that will be reflected under the IT department, not necessarily under a specific department. So it's for larger projects and those type of things.
Okay, one follow-up on that. The other one that seems to be perpetually high is the sheriff's department. Is that because it's mobile equipment or something, or?
Well, we just finished. Yeah, so the sheriff's always is a bit high, but we've actually just finished doing the Cradle Point install. So we had the whole project for installing all new routers over there. We've also been demoing a couple of tablets with the purchase we actually just finished up for them for all new PC patrol car PCs for all of the patrol cars. So we do a significant amount of work for the sheriff. He actually has a very large department. Yeah, a lot of our time, couple weeks has been I'm sure you all have heard about the big compromise for the log J2 or J4 for Apache server. So that we've spent certainly a significant amount of time working with Karen on making sure that we're all completely covered for that, the county as well.
Thanks, Terry. Good questions, Bob. Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Sue.
Terry, do we finish Windows 10 only to go into Windows 11?
Windows 11, we're testing. We actually have it loaded up on one of the computers in the IT department to see how it's going to interact with everything. So far, so good. But we're not ready. It'll probably be at least a year before we look to start moving to Windows 11. We have got a lot of software to validate.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions? Any other questions for Terry besides tickets? All right. Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you all and happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Any other business to come before the IT committee meeting? All right, with no other business, I close the IT committee.
Yep.
Beginning to think people think Melissa's thinner than I am. Then what? I'm sorry. I'm beginning to think people think you're thinner than I am if they go behind you.
I thought about that, Roger, as I walked by. I was thinking, I'll take it.
Common sense would have made it, simpler to go that direction. Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Human Services meeting. Okay, we open with accepting the minutes of December 21st. Do we have a motion for that? It's the first. The first, December 1st. Thank you. December 1st.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Daryl. Do we have a second? Thank you, Paul and Jay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so Mike, thank you for being here. I'm sorry we missed you the last time, but we'll get updated now.
All right, thank you. I have two pieces of business. The first is I'm requesting permission for the chairman to be able to sign the Way House contracts. That's in the amount of $12,471, and the other is for $23,999. That's 100% pass-through dollars to the Way House, which provides homeless youth shelter for Warren and Washington County.
Okay. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? Paul?
Paul.
Okay. Any questions for Mike on this? An incredible organization. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
The second piece of business is the Youth Bureau operating agreement. As you're all aware, back in January, the state approached us to to consider taking over the Warren County Youth Bureau. We've met over the course of the year, and with the help of county administrator and the county attorney, we submitted a Youth Bureau operating agreement to the county for consideration, and also went to the state. The operating agreement met all the requirements that the state had to merge. And I'll go over real briefly the agreement as it's proposed right now. The term of the agreement is for 3 years. It was to start January 1st, but will be pushed off until, and it'll end on December 31st, 2024. There's a 90-day termination clause in there for both counties to backfill of the agreement during any time during the agreement. The amount of the contract is for $105,000. We will voucher quarterly for that at $26,250 to Warren County. It's not performance-based at all. It's just a standing voucher, more almost like a professional services. But on this, I'll hit on the scope of the services. The state requires that the county submit a 5-year child and family services plan, which the Youth Bureau's part is about the youth and young adult and runaway and homeless youth, just like it is here in the county. And that's in collaboration with DSS. We also would be required to submit an administrative summary every year on behalf of Warren County and coordinate their resource allocation process, which is basically taking state dollars into the county and then dispersing them among community-based organizations and municipalities that provide services to youth. Now, none of these dollars will be commingled. Warren County dollars will be going to Warren County municipalities and community-based organizations. That'll be allocated through the Youth Board, which meets quarterly, I believe, and they're appointed by the Warren County Legislature. One of the caveats of the state requires is that the Youth Bureau Director has direct access to the chief elected official of the county, which would be done through the committee process, similar to the way we function here. So I would have to report to committees as needed and just to discuss outcomes. And I'll submit quarterly reports with a number of youth served and activities to the Warren County Legislature. We're also responsible for adding all outcome data as far as program annual reports in the state's quality youth development system, the QUID system they call it. So I guess the pros I talked a little bit about previously, and I'll answer any questions you have, but this joining of the youth bureaus would put us in a good position regionally to be subject to more opportunities for youth in both counties, period. There's assets that Warren County has that Washington just doesn't have, and vice versa. We have some that Warren doesn't have. And so I think by us working together, we increase opportunities for fundings and opportunities for youth in both our counties. We also, part of to make this be a successful merger, it's going to require additional staff, which I proposed in my personnel request for 2022. The term of the contract will cover all personnel related costs associated plus with Warren County to provide this service. And it would also open the door for us to do more on the juvenile justice side with reimbursement through Raise the Age, which I know that Warren County is very interested in doing with our agency. So at this time, that's the request. And I know that personnel, I believe, is meeting it in the future. So it has to go through this committee, the personnel, I believe, and then to the full board. Is that right, Melissa?
I think you're referring to the 2022 staffing request.
Staffing request, yes.
Right. So that would most likely go to personnel, finance, full board for approval of the staffing pattern. It wouldn't have to go back to your committee.
All right. Are there any questions on this proposal?
Mike, just knowing how much you do in Washington County and for you to be willing to do the same for youth in Warren County speaks highly of your integrity and your ability and desire to help the youth.
Well,
So thank you. This is.
I couldn't do it
double-
honestly without a great staff that we have. So I'm very fortunate and my relationship with colleagues on this call. So
I think with what we've gone through the last year and a half to almost 2 years, and you look at that, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old, it's going to be a difficult time and transition for them to come back out into, hopefully someday we'll get back to normal here. And so to have this in place is so important. So does anybody else have any questions for Mike? Pat?
Roger, do we need a motion to send it to the chairman to be signed? You need approval from the committee or how?
You're gonna need a board resolution at some point.
So should we move to the full board now to allow Sam to sign it?
no, I don't want to.
You're gonna wanna make sure you've got personnel to do it.
I agree, Roger. I will need people. I would need the personnel request to do this.
So we need that first before we agree to sign the contract.
I'm okay eating the chicken, but we gotta make sure we can fry the egg first.
Okay.
I don't know which one comes first.
I was just gonna get Sam the menu, that's all.
So you're moving the menu? Sure. Okay.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
However the process is gonna work.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so do you have anything else for us, Mike?
No, those are the only two items, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you,
Family.
and everyone.
Okay, I saw Gina here. Hi, Gina.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I have two items to bring to the committee's attention. The first item is a backfill request. I recently had a part-time aging services aide resign. Mind you, this individual had served us for over 26 years, but at this time he's ready to retire. So I would like the committee's approval to backfill a part-time aging services aide position.
Okay.
I'll make
Do we
that
have a
motion.
Thank you, Paul. Do we have a second?
Second.
Daryl, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay,
Thank
Jana?
you. So as a result of this part-time resignation, what we do is we offer our per diem aging services aides the opportunity to work part-time. So at this time, we have spoken with our per diems, and we do have somebody that is interested in taking a part-time role. So based on the part-time vacancy and the per diem wishing to move to part-time, based on our approval, I would like to request a backfill request on an aging services aide per diem position.
I'll make a motion to move that.
Thank you, Paul. And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Gina?
Thank you very much.
Thank
The
you.
second item that I have on the agenda today is to reappoint and also appoint advisory council representation for the Office for Aging. I had submitted a list to the committee outlining the individuals wishing to be appointed and reappointed to the Office for Aging Advisory Council. At this time, I'd like to seek approval for the appointment and reappointment of these individuals.
Okay. Do we have a motion approving these
I'll
individuals?
make that motion.
I'll
Thank
second.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Daryl.
As long as Dina agrees with it.
Any questions for anybody?
So, I just wanted to say, it looks like your choice from Salem was a little bit dicey, but I suppose that's go on with it anyway.
I'm not even gonna go there.
For you younger members, Bruce Ferguson was a former council supervisor.
And he likes being on this board, advisory board, so that's a good thing.
He'll do a good job.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. And as you had seen, there are some towns that we're still seeking representation from. Most certainly, our goal is to have individuals representing all of Washington County serve on the OFA Advisory Council. So for the towns that haven't shown representation, I can reach out to you and we can talk about how we can go about finding representation on the council. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Tammy, are you up? No, I'm sorry, Tina. I saw, is Tina on here? Yes. Good morning, Tina.
Good morning.
Good to see
How's
you.
everyone? Nice to see you. I just have a couple things. Every 5 years, our WIC program comes up for renewal for request for application. So I'm just looking for the support of the board to sponsor that program again for the next 5 years. So it would start in October of 2022 and go through September of 2027. It is a federally funded program through the USDA, but Public Health has sponsored that program for as long as I've been here. So I'm not sure the exact date, but it's been a long time that they've been part of our department. So they are up for renewal again. So we're just looking for permission to move forward with that.
Okay. Do we have a motion to move this forward?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thanks, Daryl.
I'll
And
second.
do we have a second? Thank you, Paul. Anyone have any questions for Tina on the program? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay,
And
Tammy.
I do have one item under miscellaneous. We were notified that one of our preschool service coordinators is going to be having surgery in February, and she'll be out for 4 to 6 weeks. And and then she's also due to retire in April. So we're looking to get permission to backfill that position ahead of time for when she goes out in February. So we're looking for permission to do that. So we would have a little bit of overlap there when she returns before she retires in April. So we're looking for permission to advertise for that position. And then, once she retires, we wouldn't backfill her position once she retires.
Okay, Daryl, you making a motion?
One question first, please.
Yeah.
Has she already submitted her retirement paperwork?
She has given us her date in writing. I believe there's a certain time frame they have to do it through the retirement system, but she has given us official notification, yes.
So moved.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Paul? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Tina?
And that's all I have.
Yeah. Do we have a back to school December 23rd at Hudson Falls?
Nope, it was going to be a day too early because the little ones, they have to be at least 3 weeks. They cannot go a couple days early like the adults. So it's actually scheduled for, I believe, January 7th. And that'll be that's the back to school second dose at Hudson Falls. And then we'll also have a second dose pediatric that we'll be doing in Greenwich as well. And we'll also be doing a pediatric clinic in Whitehall at the school. And that's going to be January 13th, I believe, will be the first dose for that. So moving forward with our vaccine clinics.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you for your support.
Take care. Okay, on to Tammy.
Yes, hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I have a couple of requests. One, the most simple, is to backfill a clerk position, please.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
thanks, Paul. Do we have a second? Carol? And any questions for Tammy? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then I have a request to modify the staffing pattern. I would like to reduce the DSS pattern by 1 welfare employment representative and increase it by 1 senior social services examiner. We did one of these a few months ago when somebody had been promoted out of a position. This is our process of trying to streamline and get all of our positions lined up within the same title sequence. So I need to change that staffing pattern.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that
Carol,
motion.
Okay, Paul is making the motion. Carol, do you have a question?
I do, thank you.
Yeah.
Is that a cost neutral?
Yes, it is the same grade level.
Thank you, I'll second.
Okay. Any other questions for Tammy? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I need permission to backfill that senior social services examiner position.
So moved.
Okay, Daryl?
There
Moved by
should,
Daryl, second by Paul.
there should be savings with that one.
Okay. Any other questions for Tammy on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you.
Can I take it
Okay.
can I take that a step further and ask if this resolution can go before the board for January 3rd? So that we may move along in backfilling these openings? The request to change the staffing pattern has to go before the full board.
Now, does this go to personnel, Tammy? Matt, are you here? Yeah,
It does.
you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, sure. We'll do it next and we can move it to the next board meeting. Yes. From a rule standpoint, I don't see any problem. Roger, Sam?
So if we have a motion from Human Services to move it to personnel, and then we can, thank you.
Yep, so moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
I have been working with Danielle all along through this process, and she knows the sense of urgency that I feel in moving the process through.
Yeah, thank you.
So I do have
How are
one,
you?
sorry. I do have one additional item to share that has come up since I submitted items for the agenda. We received notice last week that New York State, within the 21-22 budget, appropriated $100 million to provide rental supplements to individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness or facing imminent loss of housing. And apparently it's taken this period of time for the state to decide how they want to disseminate that 100 million. So Washington County has been allocated $131,444. I have to submit a plan by February 15th to say how it is that we intend to implement a rental supplement. People do not have to be active recipients of social services benefit programs to qualify for this. However, there is additional eligibility information. DSS can administer this, or we could transfer it to another county department to do the same, or we could contract with a not-for-profit. So I wanted to let you know that what we have been doing over the last several months when funds like this have come, we have administered it in-house and either collected a portion of the allocation through for administrative costs, or we have simply put it back into the county as far as the allocations that we're sending out. It's getting harder and harder for us to add in more programs and do more things that are outside of what have been our normal programs. So I will be working on coming up with a plan, but I wanted to let you know first that more money has come through. There is an option as to how the county decides to administer the funds. And eventually the plan needs to be submitted for us to be able to make that request official to the state.
Sam, Chairman?
Yeah, Commissioner, I know you need to put your plan together, but what is your feeling as to how you would like to see it be done so that the committee can start maybe getting some thoughts as to what they could support or not support? You're looking to have someone outside do it? Is that kind of where you're going, or?
If there were any other county department that would be able to, I would be immensely supportive of that. And then the county would still be able to choose to reallocate or keep the up to 15% for administrative expenses. We'd be able to collaborate within the county by making referrals or sharing the information about the program, but it is not a program that's going to operate on any of our regular systems. It's not going through the same portal that ERAP did, which is what would have made the most sense. It is going to be a standalone program, and the state says that it is supposed to continue this funding from year to year.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Tammy on this? At first, Tammy, I thought it was going to go along with the ERAP, but obviously it wouldn't be that simple.
No, I do. There may become enough concern expressed statewide to push it back to the state and ask them to make this more simplistic. At this point, they've not only not prescribed any program for us to use in determining the eligibility, they also have left it open to interpretation for every county and how it's implemented and who the who the eligible group is. It would be easier in this instance for them to have just followed what they already had in place for ERAP, but they say that they are allowing us flexibility because they understand that we are not all the same.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you think like White House or nursing homes that provide a home that people may not have. I wonder if that would be, or it's definitely just new homelessness.
It's new homelessness or at risk of imminent loss of housing. If we were to do an RFP, the White House would be an eligible agency to apply to be able to administer that.
Okay. Any other questions for Tammy? Yeah.
So Tammy, excuse me, is that your recommendation? You really think, because I can't think offhand of any internal departments that might be able to take on these extra duties. So I guess, is that the recommendation that maybe we should go out for an RFP to see who actually could administer these services?
I'm sorry that this is the first year hearing of this, Melissa. I would like to be able to talk it through a bit more with you, and certainly in-house. As I said, this came to us last week. The state then scheduled a call for questions and answers this past Friday at 3:00. So it is still very fresh for me to be able to pull together exactly what it involves. And at this point, we have open positions that we're having some difficulty filling. So not only are we already stretched, we don't have people. So that's my concern, though I do feel a little bit more comfort from the fact that we don't have to put this through until February 15th. So I have a little bit of wiggle room, and I would like to be able to talk that through more here and with you if that is possible.
Thank you, Tammy. Yeah. Thank you, Tammy. In the meantime, it's probably one of the busiest times of the year in DSS. So you're looking like you're managing and doing it well. So always thank you, and Merry Christmas, okay?
Merry Christmas to all of you.
Okay. Do we have any other business for us? Okay, with that, would someone like to adjourn? Okay, we'll be done. Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Ryan is getting a little upset, you should go on his side. You don't care about.
Oh, I think, no, I just came to check out the rock, I probably didn't have any jewelry, but you do.
I do.
A little sparkle, but.
A little sparkle.
Threw on my sunglasses, before I came over here.
Do you need my spot? I can get on wherever. I just gotta get it.
There's a camera at the,
There we go. I can go right here.
is there a camera there?
On the laptop. Wait, waiting.
There's one back there.
You don't mind waiting a second. Oh, well, I don't know. I'll do that instead.
Maybe I'll share. You good, Danielle?
Yeah,
Just tap your microphone to make sure it's,
can you hear me?
you think the
I
microphone?
hear you.
Sound system is on.
Okay. All right, I'll call the personnel meeting to order. Do we have minutes to accept, Ted?
Yes, December 1st.
Just one, okay. Moved by Jim, seconded by Jay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. All right, Danielle, hit the ground running.
Okay, the first request is from the Office of Aging, a backfill of aging services aide part-time, due to a retirement.
Moved by Dave, did I see your hand up?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, seconded by Jim. All in favor of the backfill? Opposed? Carried.
And then due to that, she would like to request a backfill for an aging services aide per diem, since this person is moving to the part-time position.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Jim. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
The next request is from the Department of Social Services. It's a backfill for a clerk, due to an appointment to a social services examiner position.
Moved by Jim, seconded by Dave. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
The next request was for the welfare employment rep position vacated. She wanted to change the staffing pattern to take that position out and add a senior social services examiner. They're both the same grade. So she would like to change the staffing pattern and then look to fill that senior social services examiner.
Motion moved to the full board, moved by Dave, seconded by Jim. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Next is from Public Health. She would like to actually fill the preschool service coordinator position due to the medical and retirement that's coming up.
Right, we just heard this. Moved by Dave, seconded by Jim. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And one other item was the sheriff requested to fill his 2 deputies for the 2022. I just wanted to move that through personnel right now, and then in 2022 it can happen kind of quickly for us.
Right, so we'll move from here to personnel to the January 3rd meeting, okay? Moved by Dave, seconded by Jim. Discussion on the sheriff's request? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
That was all that I had.
Nothing else? Okay. Anything else to come before personnel before the end of the year? That cleans things up, Danielle?
That should be it.
Okay. If that's the case, we are adjourned.